we start this program in January of 2020. Why are we doing that?
Oh, weird.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah,
why are we doing that?
Confused.
Why
so
are we
different
doing
back then.
Why are we doing that,
Life
Rich?
was so different.
Because it was the last time life was decent.
Normal.
What's going on? What's going on?
I had no kid.
Well, actually, we started. I guess in 2021, coming off the 2020 season, right? We start in January of 2021.
Oh.
Okay. This is a moment when in time where Green Bay and Tampa meeting each other in the NFC Championship game. You remember that one?
I do.
Remember that one back in the day?
I do remember that.
Okay. And Brady winds up going to the Super Bowl. Remember that one? Okay, remember that one?
I do.
Uh-huh. And in that season, Tom Brady is doing mad work. And Aaron Rodgers is the 1 seed, and Brady's getting back to the Super Bowl, trying to get back to that Super Bowl off of that crazy 2020 season. And guess what? He made it back to the Super Bowl. Part of the reason why he made it back to the Super Bowl is Aaron Rodgers on 4th and 8, 4th and goal, in a game where they're down 8, is pulled off the field by his head coach, Matt LaFleur, for a field goal. What's going on with that? Just making an 8-point game down to 5. Well, I don't understand it. We were all wondering, what are you doing pulling your quarterback, your guy, off the field in a game where you need points? Okay? More than what you're going to get. But why are you pulling your guy off the field when you need to tie the game and you're doing nothing with this field goal guy? But the subtext of even that was, why are you pulling your guy off the field? Let your guy be the guy. He wants to be the guy.
He is the guy.
He is the guy. He's the man. Mm-hmm. He's won a Super Bowl for you before. The franchise has got a trophy in the case because of him. And he wants to be the guy. Let the guy be the guy. What are you doing with a place kicker? The offensive coordinator at the time was a guy named Nathaniel Hackett.
Really?
Watched it all happen.
Heard of him.
Wow.
Watched it happen in real time. Had to have a front row seat to the fallout. And yet, in the crucible of his first game as head coach in the National Football League, in a game not as big as the chance to go to the Super Bowl, let's be honest, but with his new quarterback, Russell Wilson, in his old building, in a big-time battle that hardly anybody saw coming, because Geno Smith showed up like Phil Simms in the Super Bowl. Geno Smith showed up spotting dimes and throwing darts. Geno Smith showed up like he told us last week. There's no comeback story for me. I've always been here. I've been living my best life. I'm a quarterback here, but this is it. I asked him, like, what's this going to be like for you? And he started talking about the rest of his team and his teammates. That's what he's talking about. Talking about how the defense is going to show up, too. And all that said, when the National Football League placed this game on our Week 1 Monday Night Football plate, this piece of filet mignon, Russell Wilson going back into Seattle as an opponent for the first time ever, and it's his first game in his new spot. We all knew that dish that the filet mignon was being served on could be served up cold by Russ to his old team in the 12s and all of that. And sure enough, just like the schedule makers drew it up, tight game, and Russ has a chance to win it in his last drive. A fourth quarter comeback win set up by a highly untimely 3-and-out by Geno Smith and the offense. In many ways, Seattle fans have seen that one before, even with Russ. But it was him not allowed to cook, right? All those untimely 3-and-outs that we saw sometimes. Seattle just like trying to grind it out, leave it up to the defense, and you say, why don't we just let Russ cook? Well, Russ has taken that Now it's his time to cook in front of everybody after he cooked all night. And this game being tight because not one but two of his running backs fumbled on the 1-yard line going in. A tight end dropped the ball in the end zone. Another one put his foot out of bounds. Too bad he was wearing Kevin Durant shoes.
Right.
That set up one of those aforementioned 2 fumbles from the 1. Denver should have won this thing going away, but no. The football gods, the schedule gods, Geno Smith playing like a deity, made this one tight. Better than the Sunday night game. Sorry to fire that dart in your direction.
I mean, that was so
But it's just a
unnecessary.
point. No. And better than the Thursday night game, too. Here we are, national televised action in the NFL. First time in the first week of this season where the whole country's sitting down watching. And this game was tight, and we were in it. Buck and Aikman sounded terrific. The Manning brothers were cooking as well. Here we go. Russ under center, moving the ball down the field, 3rd and long from his own 45, and a very strong-legged kicker, only needing a field goal. All 3 timeouts left. 3rd and long. I'm like, all they got to do is get half of it back. And guess what they got? They got half of it back. 4th and 6 with about 50-some-odd seconds left, maybe even a little bit more than that, and the clock starts ticking. And I'm sitting there saying, we got 3 timeouts, Denver. What are we doing? Tick, tick, tick. Clock goes all the way down, and then Russell burns a timeout with 20-some-odd seconds left. And I'm like, what are you going to do now if you get the first down just by a hair? What are you going to do? You had all those timeouts left. You can't fly back to Denver with them. You can't save them for next week. What are we doing? Well, I guess Nathaniel Hackett had a plan to send Brandon McManus out for a 64-yard field goal on the road, not in the Mile High Stadium, on the road. And Pete Carroll's probably like, what are we doing here? By the way, Pete taking a playbook, a page out of the Belichick playbook. Let him take the time out. Let him take the time off the clock. I'll just sit here back. You make the move. And this was Russ fading back to pass and throwing the pick in the Super Bowl type stuff, where you're staring at Marshawn Lynch. Just run him. You paid $200 million for the guy. You traded everybody for the guy. He's the guy in his old spot. You're going to let the kicker handle it from 64 yards out? The answer to that is yes. Here was Nathaniel Hackett's explanation after the game.
We were right on the line, and he had plenty of distance. You know, he just missed it. And so, and again, Brandon gave it his best shot. I mean, that's a long field goal to hit. I think he's completely capable of that. But obviously, I wish we would have gotten a lot closer. But it put us in that weird spot there because we were in the field goal range, but we were on that 4th down situation. Didn't think we were going to get that many yards. So I thought it was a great job by Javonte, and we just made the decision. We want to take our shot there on that one.
You thought that Brandon McManus has a better chance of making a 64-yard field goal than you coming up with a 4th and 5 play?
Yeah, 4th and 6. For me, during that time, we had been just moving it slightly. They weren't moving it with big chunks. I think we had just given up a sack right before that. So wanted to be sure that we took a chance when we had a chance. And I felt confident in him.
I mean, I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Like he channeled his inner Vic Fangio. If I'm a Bronco fan, inner Vic Fangio, write it down for next year's fantasy team. I mean, he channeled his inner Vic Fangio. I'm a Bronco fan. I'm like, we got rid of Vic, who couldn't handle things at the end of games. Didn't know when to challenge, didn't know when to call timeouts, despite being in the league for 50 years. That's a move you make. You send out Brandon McManus on the road from 64 yards out. When Drew Lock is your quarterback, when Brandon Allen's your quarterback, when Brock Osweiler is your quarterback, name everybody that Denver's struggled with between Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson. That's what you do when they're your quarterback, not when you get Russ. Not when you get Russ and it's in his stadium. You don't do this. Certainly, I know he's got a strong leg, and I know he had the distance in the first chance he tried, and that Pete Carroll called the timeout before, but McManus has never made one from this distance. As a matter of fact, it's the 6th time he's tried one from 62 yards or more, and he's missed them all. And as a matter of fact, a field goal of this length had only been attempted 42 times before in the history of this league. And only 2 people have made it. Justin Tucker last year, who, by the way, inside from 66 yards hit the crossbar on it. And Matt Prater, 64 yards too. That's it. Those are the only humans who have ever hit it from that far away. And neither of them were on a team quarterbacked by somebody who had just been acquired by the team and paid all that money to win a game like this in the stadium in front of the fan bases that were booing him after he was Mr. Seattle for almost a decade. And you pull him off to try that? I'm sorry to go all in on it. He's a sweet guy. He's a nice guy. He's a gregarious guy. He's going to have a lot of wins because, man, they've got a really good young offense. You saw how Russ can orchestrate it. You know, I feel for Nathaniel Hackett. His first game is against Seattle, in Seattle, where the craziest things happen. It's just like it's played on a different planet. It's a different galaxy. Listen, if anything crazy can happen at will in Seattle. Pete Carroll's chomping gum, acting 11. He's almost 71. Geno Smith comes out, doesn't miss a pass. I mean, crazy stuff happens. Like, you know,
not writing letters back.
That's where KJ Wright, by the way, who started, the ceremonial 12 raise last night. He did it last night. He's the one who batted a ball out of bounds against Detroit. Remember that game where Matthew Stafford finds Calvin Johnson, fumbles it in the end zone, he bats it out of bounds, and it's like, oh, it's Seattle's ball, even though that's illegal to bat it out of bounds. I mean, crazy stuff happens.